everybody, to episode 90 of the Destiny Digest podcast. Pleasure to have you guys here. It's also a pleasure to have Tiddly and Epic Dan here as well. Thank you guys so much for joining today. How's the past couple weeks been? We didn't join here because of the Super Bowl last week, but what all have you guys been getting into? What have you been playing, enjoying? What did you think of the game if you watched it? Tiddly, let's start with you.
The question, we had an interesting conversation in the stream the other day about is Overwatch a dead game? Did Marvel Rivals kill it?
Yeah.
What game did Overwatch kill? So it's kind of that that constant question of like, you know, this game is occupying what player's space,
right?
You know, like that they used to play, right? And I know everyone always jokes about the Destiny killer.
Yeah.
Right. So so yeah, Marvel Rivals. I actually did do the dungeon on contest, and we're going to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been playing some Destiny and helping some people through the dungeon. But yeah, mostly that. The Super Bowl was amazing. The halftime show was absolutely fantastic. Kendrick Lamar was like unbelievable, and I've just been addicted. I'm on like Kendrick Lamar talk on TikTok. Like I keep on getting all of these like intellectual breakdowns of all of the nuanced meaning that, like, you know, that was it, you know, not just the content of what he said, but the like the visuals, like the you know, the people that were chosen, like, you know, it's fascinating. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
And I knew a little bit about kind of like the like, you know, the beef between Kendrick Lamar and Drake, because, like, you know, my community talks about it, but I had no idea like how long it's been going on or like
it's been going for a long time.
Like I am like educated now, but holy shit, like I actually legitimately cried. I was watching it and I cried, and I'm like, why am I so impacted by this? This is so good.
Yeah,
it was so good. Oh my god. But yeah, I won my my fantasy football season this year. Let's go. So, which is kind of anticlimactic, but it was still satisfying to win. Winning is fun. But yeah, I definitely was rooting for I was rooting against the Chiefs, rooting for the Eagles, and it was really, really satisfying to see their asses, getting handed to them. Like, I was just
we're all adults here.
So it was like a two-part awesome. It was just like, oh, this halftime show is like the best one I've ever seen in my life, and like this, like, it's really satisfying seeing the Chiefs. So so that's kind of me caught up.
Heck yeah. Epic Dan, what about you?
I think like Tilly, I watched the Super Bowl. I was also rooting for the Eagles. So I'm happy to see that it wasn't even close.
I was happy to see a little bit.
That was a wild game.
It was a wild game, but it was satisfying.
Yeah.
Obviously, the halftime show was really good. At least I really liked it. As someone who's been a big fan of Kendrick since about 2012, it's, from a longtime fan, it's interesting seeing. In my world, I've always felt that he was like a very big artist, and it's interesting to see the response around the Super Bowl. Like there was one stat about how like every single song that was performed at the Super Bowl, it's like Spotify numbers had like gone up like 400%.
Yeah.
Which was very interesting at the power of just performing at the Super Bowl, just in general. How like I think like I want to say either Luther or Squabble Up were one of his lowest performing songs on Spotify for a very long time until the Super Bowl, which made him blow up. Yeah, and also the all the artists that he put on or helped promote have all have reaped the benefits greatly from just being attached to him right now, which is really cool. Yeah. So I really like that. As Tilly says, for me, the whole beef and all that has been subliminally there for a long time, and I was one of the fans who did not think it would ever really come to fruition. A lot of times in hip hop, they never really call each other out.
Yeah.
And there's
Right,
only
they
probably
just
like
yeah.
a couple of big beefs that I can remember. There's the Tupac Nas, the Tupac Biggie, the Jay and Nas, the Wayne and Gilly, and the probably the other big ones are probably like T.I. and Lil Flip. But a lot of the big ones don't have the staying power that this one has as
Oh,
well.
dude.
And they're not as mainstream either.
Yeah.
So it's been really interesting to see, like, I've been on the Kendrick TikTok as well, and all of the, analytical breakdowns of just all the hidden messaging from the years that kind of comes to the bubbling point at the Super Bowl was just really interesting. That was a big, I feel like that's the big thing that most people have talked about this week.
Yeah.
From one way or the other.
100%.
I was so sure they wouldn't play the actual song. Like that they
he was gonna play it.
He was toying with us. Like he kept on hinting he was gonna do it, and then he's like, and then he looked right at that camera and he was like, "Hey Drake," and I was like, "Oh shit!"
They played that.
Anyone surprised? Well, I say that because I've seen Kendrick for a long time, but anyone surprised that he played it doesn't know Kendrick. That's him.
I was surprised that the NFL allowed it, like more so than anything.
Well, yeah,
like,
because
that's the big thing.
It's kind of freedom of speech in a sense of like the only thing that they kind of I can tell was like, okay, Kendrick, this one word, SEC, all this stuff.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
But the song themselves, like a NFL person came out, I think last week, and was like, "You can play a song. I don't care. Just play it."
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
But they obviously were like that one thing. They were like, "Okay, all right. If you can compromise with that, cool."
Yeah.
But other than that, I thought it was a fantastic Sunday. Personally, it was great for me. I know some people out there are Drake fans, and it was bad for them. And there were a lot of people that were wanting to see the three-peat that also were really let down. But for me, in my household, it was a good Sunday.
Yeah, for me as well. We had a good time too.
There's a picture of Mahomes and Drake consoling each other on the internet. That I just thought was hilarious. Yeah, I too enjoyed the Super Bowl. It was probably one of the best Super Bowls I've seen in my life. Like I can't remember a time where the Super Bowl was as exciting to me. And so, yeah, the halftime was great. Yeah, I liked all the songs that were picked. Luther is actually one of my favorite songs off that new album. So like seeing that on the stage too, I was like, yeah, heck yeah, dude. Like
I was very happy to see Man of the Garden.
Yeah. Oh
because
yeah,
Man of the Garden, at least is easily his, outside of probably The Heart Part 6, was the two songs that I probably did not expect him to ever perform. And the fact that he gave Man of the Garden, that's a very powerful song that I was really excited to see. And obviously Euphoria, I did not expect him to do.
Oh yeah.
Everything else was like, okay, I expect you to do this. I expect you to do that. But Euphoria and Man of the Garden, I was like, okay. I understand the process of the story you're telling with this performance, but I did not expect those two. But other than that, it was good stuff.
Yeah, that was good stuff. Other than that, in gaming, I haven't really spent I think I played a little bit of I'm trying to get back into Metaphor Refantasio because I want to finish it, but like the past couple weeks has been like Game to Give stuff, and I've been on the Destiny train like throughout all of Game to Give. Have you guys been like?
That's gonna be a tough one, man, because that's a long game.
It is a long game.
I can't imagine trying to play it now. Like at least when I played it in December, it was the holidays. There was nothing Destiny really going on. It was the perfect time for me to like just do that and nothing else. I feel for you, man.
Now there's things to do in Destiny
because there's also other games that's coming out soon this year.
Avow's coming out like next week.
Avow, Monster Hunter Wilds. Like I don't know if like you're gonna pick up those games or even dabble in them.
Yeah,
but there's probably gonna be something else coming out in the next couple months that you might choose to spend your time with. That also won't be as big of a time sink required. To mess around with it
as Metaphor, but like,
and that's a long one.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to like schedule some like extra streams to be like, all right, gang, like 8 hours.
The
we're gonna
hard
try
part
to
is like,
knock this out.
do you want to go into it knowing like a process, or do you want to still explore it? Because if you know what to expect, it's gonna ruin a lot of it. But if you just want to get through it, you can get through it in a short amount of time. But like, you don't get that. You don't get to explore. You don't get to. It's not even the same.
I've been enjoying
It's kind of
exploring it.
tough.
I've been enjoying exploring it and kind of finding my own path with it. So I probably will like. I'll probably just keep doing that exploration part.
Yeah.
I'm almost past that first dungeon. Like I'm almost to that first boss. I have like 3 days left to do it. So yeah. Like I think I'm on the final floor.
So if you're on the final section of the first dungeon,
and
I think there's about another 8 or 9 before you reach end game. And it's also like one thing I had to remember as well. There's a lot of time you spend watching cutscenes.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you skip 10 minutes of exposition? Or do you like, I got to get up for work tomorrow. I don't want to watch 15 minutes. There was one stream where I spent an hour
watching cutscenes and everything.
IRL hour, not in game. Pretty much reading. Walk to this person, talk, travel somewhere, watch a cutscene, travel somewhere, explore for maybe 5 minutes, talk to someone, read a long exposition where it explains the world. It's really interesting stuff. I'm like, dude, I just spent an hour on stream just like reading and talking. And I got technically I got nowhere in the game.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, man. So I gotta figure out time for that. Like I gotta figure out where that's gonna fit in. But I'm probably gonna be playing a lot more Destiny over the next couple weeks because this past week I was invited to be on a speedrunning thing for the Sunder Doctrine, which prior to doing that, I had only heard it twice. Sammy was also invited to be a part of that, as was like True Vanguard and Shield Maiden, Zavaler, I forget, like Defizzle and Malachi were on my team. And that was a lot of fun, but it was like we practiced that dungeon. I'd only had like 2 full runs of it prior, and all of them were like over an hour long. And then by Wednesday, we were like slotting in under half an hour for. Was
it the second encounter or the first encounter that had you?
So
as far as that hour run.
Oh, I mean, like that was just exploratory stuff. That was just like goofing around with buds, that kind of thing. And then, but like and like getting a feeling for the lay of the land. But the speedrunning thing has it hasn't really awakened anything in me, but I do feel more confident in my ability, like following.
Nice.
And I talked with Rev today about some builds because I'm running it on Warlock. So
when is that again?
Well, so the first one was this past Thursday. And so we ended up like winning the North American version of it. I think our time was 24-24.
Nice.
And the nearest team to us was like 46 something. So it was like that was kind of crazy. And then I think from there we might go up against the international speedrunner, like the winners of the competition.
Who's on your team?
Malachi and Defizzle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shout out to those guys. Those guys were really
I was
great.
talking to Malachi, I want to say 2 days ago about y'all's run. It was just talking about how like even he was not surprised, but really proud of y'all and how like well you did. And 24 minutes is it's really good. That means you had to slay out in the second encounter.
Yeah.
And
we one phase the second encounter.
Yeah, you have to for 24 minutes. You have to.
Yeah, really.
You have to almost one phase both encounters.
Yeah.
And I don't think you have to, but you almost have to just know the lore for the first encounter, just so you can skip a little bit of the first and just instantly move to where you got to move to for the lenses.
Yeah. So that was eye opening for me. And like Rev and I were doing helps today and teaching it, and I didn't realize how much like I had like sucked in from those runs, like knowledge base wise. But I was like, okay, yeah, we need to go and do all these things. I was like, oh.
Yeah, you've done it in the most optimized way possible now.
Yeah, and so now
which is it's just like so different than teaching runs, I'm sure. Yeah. But it's nice that it's kind of like complementing that for you.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was great. I guess we can start talking about Destiny stuff there. Like,
we have been.
yeah,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So like,
like very natural segue.
yeah, exactly. So like, with Sunder Doctrine, I think is probably one of the best dungeon experiences that I've seen hit the community, at least within like the last 2 years. If that's, I like Vesper's Host was great. But I really feel like the community feels supercharged around Sunder Doctrine more so. Like, does that
I
feel
guess
like
it
a thing?
depends. I can't speak for the community, but I probably have a hot take.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
This is the best dungeon
Mm-hmm.
in Destiny since Beyond Light, easily.
Okay.
The last one I can think of that's equally as good from a first time experience and I want to play this dungeon consistently more in the future, and I will still enjoy it since Prophecy. And that's probably just personal. You know,
Yeah.
It's a fantastic dungeon.
Yeah.
It is literally their best work in years. Now, obviously, it's kind of for me held up by the contest mode, but I've also ran it so many times just for other people, and I just really enjoy being in that dungeon. None of it feels like a chore.
Yeah.
And every other dungeon since Grasp of Avarice, there is a part of it that feels like a chore. And everyone can think of an encounter in every single dungeon that you like, oh, if I can get through this,
God,
I can get to the good stuff.
Yeah, the cannons in the Grass
The
dungeon.
cannon in Grass.
Yeah. Oh,
the
so
transitional
annoying.
sections in Duality.
Yep.
Ghost
I would argue like the Ghost of the Deep, you know.
Yeah, Ghost.
There's a lot of those dungeons that have really cool stuff, but there's not a single section in this dungeon. You could argue the first encounter, but once you have experience and skill, that first encounter goes from say 20 minutes down to 5 or 10, and you can speed it up just for being more knowledgeable.
Yeah, I mean the quibbles I've heard have been about the transitions in the dungeon, because it does. It's like, I don't know. I thought it felt kind of like a big dungeon.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like a mini raid to me, and I don't know if that's because it was contest or whatnot. But I think even replaying it, it felt like a small raid more so than you know, or like a big dungeon and a small raid. But like, yeah, the only thing that I've heard people complain about really is the transitions, but they're really not nearly as onerous as like Ghost of the Deep or some of the other ones that have happened. And I think once you have the knowledge to traverse them, then it's quite as bad as it is right now for people, because they're still like, how do I do like that one room with the lenses?
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know how to do this. Like, I think that takes some time, but once people get that sorted, I think they're not gonna have a problem with it. I loved it. I thought it was great. I think it's definitely up there in my top 3.
Yeah.
I would say I honestly think Contest Dungeon is like the most awesome thing that Bungie has done in a really long time. I think it's so smart, because Contest Raid is just such an event for the community, and it's something people plan for and grind for and take work off for.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a really easy way for them to have this content they were going to put out anyway, and then add a whole lot more to it in a very simple way. If they're just like, okay, we're going to turn it into an event. It's going to be an event. It's going to be super challenging. There's a limited time cosmetic you can earn, and people care about that. Like, and go for that, and we'll stay up, 24 hours to get that. And so I don't know. I'm just absolutely thrilled. And like, I feel like the last contest dungeon, people are saying that one was maybe a little too difficult. Like, a lot of people really struggled, particularly I think with the final boss on that one, and staying alive in that room is kind of challenging. This one, I think people really kind of got stopped at second. Because the survivability in second was really challenging. Even knowing some of the mechanics around ogre spawns, because that's what my team really struggled with, was the ogre spawns. Even knowing that, I still think that like the cover is really limited. Even the side areas, like there's tracking on the projectiles from the shriekers.
Ooh,
like it's so it's like really hard to stay up. But so I think a lot of people got stopped there. But even so, I feel like and I'm not sure what the numbers are on the completions for this one, but I'm guessing a lot more people completed. I'm also thrilled. I'm not thrilled that PlayStation had issues connecting, but I am thrilled that they're doing a second contest weekend, because I think that's so nice. Like it's going to be so nice for I know Dan and I were talking in his stream about this, about he's planning to help more people through on contest. So how cool is that? Because like now we have we know the mechanics, number one. We also have more optimized loadouts for each of the encounters. So it's going to be, I wouldn't say an easy task because it's still a contest and like you have to get through it. But I think it's going to be an easier task to get more people through it, and I think that's only a positive thing for the community to have another weekend. So I'm so excited about that. I might be in Florida during it because I think they said it might be the 22nd. I'm not sure if they've confirmed that yet.
They said on the tweet it was next Saturday, which is interesting, but the 22nd,
Yeah, but I love that. Like if I'm around, I would certainly love to run it again and try to run it with other people. So contest is so fun. Like I think it also kind of like gets the question of like, why can't we have a permanent contest mode available? Or but would that make it less exciting?
Into the choir right here.
Would that make it less exciting? Like what if it was a rotator like trials, like makes it like endgame PvE rotator, you get one weekend of contest and then rotate the cosmetic emblem that you get for that for completing it. Granted, like it's going to be different because we already know the mechanics, know the optimized loadouts and stuff like that, but still I think it could be super fun. Those are my general thoughts. What about you, Dan? Speedrunner Dan?
I think that's I don't know. I feel like that's like Dunes in chat was like, why don't they have that like contest open all the time, or at least in my chat earlier today? And I was like, like that makes sense. Like
they have weird reasoning. Like I get it, but I don't get it because they like to use it. They like to use it as an event. Same way they like to use the contest raid, the day one raid. I used to agree. I don't agree as much for limiting it because the argument then becomes, like you said, if contest is always around, you lose a little bit of the excitement of like this event. It's like if you were to have the Super Bowl every week or like every month.
Yeah. Well, why don't they
but
just
I don't
it? There's like plenty of dungeons.
What I'm saying. Yeah. Like, I mean, there's ways you can make it and still make it unique.
Or like make people have to choose, like have 3 contest dungeons available in one weekend. And then you get you only can earn that particular emblem from doing like 3 different emblems available. People would go crazy over that.
I'll do
like
all
they
of
would,
them, please.
Yeah, I know you would, Dan. I know you would do all of them, and you would just like, it'd be so fun, right? You would love that, and then just rotate which ones those are, and don't do it every. You don't even have to do it every month. Like if you did it like every couple months and just had kind of like an event, you don't have to make any new content. You don't have to like create a new raid, a new dungeon. It's just so easy. But I mean, I get the not wanting to take away the impact of the event, but please, we would do it.
I don't feel that way anymore. I used to feel that way, but I'm on the same side as you. I just want I at least that's why I think they've always kind of created a narrative around. We want it to be a big event. We want all the Bungie devs to come watch you do the stuff. And I get it, but at the same time, the community, what's the word? The community are almost starved for that kind of stuff more often.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'd rather the community be satiated in that ground more than like that.
We're working with they're working with limited resources in terms of the content that they can put out. So that I'm not, like I said, that's why the contest dungeon is brilliant, because they are not making anything new. They're putting out something they already were intending to put out. Put out a contest Heresy or something. I don't know.
I was gonna say earlier, they should somehow go back into all doing Vesper and doing Sundered makes me wish there was a contest for all of the previous dungeons.
Because we only have had it for 2. Let me go back and do contests on the other dungeons.
Yep.
I mean, we know how to do them, but still, it's still gonna be hard.
It still would be super difficult because some of these dungeons are already like. I don't want to do a contest Ghost of the Deep. That sounds god awful. But I'll do it for them.
Yeah.
No thanks. No, not unless they do something about that shield.
Yeah.
The shields are so bad.
That's the same. Like the community love that stuff, and we know the community love that stuff, and it's in their best interest if they kind of care for the player numbers like they say they do, It's
Yeah.
in their best interest to nurture that part of the community because you always see the amount of people that are embracing it. Like your player numbers are always at their highest with contest stuff. Like with the new season, obviously like the first couple days and contest stuff, always your player numbers are high. Your player engagement is always high. So I would love them to just say, okay, what is in our what content is in Destiny that doesn't have contest versions? Well, let's just start doing each one of those things.
Let's just add it in and then turn it into an event. Say, okay, this is the event for this, you know. People would eat it up. Like people would love it. And I mean, I know that it's supposed to be, maybe it's not casual player focused. Like it's definitely for people who are interested in doing harder stuff. But there's plenty of casual people who want dabble a toe into contests.
Or at least try. Yeah.
Or like try it. Not like they're like, okay, well, I mean, maybe I'll get first encounter done. Like maybe I'm not gonna finish this. That's okay. Like I know it's a limited time thing, but I wanna, you know, play with the big boys. Like I wanna give it a try. It's gonna be fun. Like I don't think it's exclusionary. Like I feel like casual players like wanna go in and try it. And especially with this particular dungeon with the PlayStation issues, like having another weekend, I think they're gonna see that casual players are gonna go in and enjoy it. I really do.
Sam Bartley asks in chat a very interesting set of questions. But would the contest mode keep the numbers up, or would people get the emblems and then bounce? Like,
I don't think it's a realistic expectation to keep numbers constant permanently.
No.
I think that for a live service game, an ebb and flow is a natural part of the process, and it's something that is actually healthy. I think it's healthy that on this podcast, the first thing that we talk about is what other games are we playing?
Yeah.
You know? So I think I know that for the devs, that's a metric that they look at and that they, you know, that they're like, okay, we want sustained engagement. But yeah, for sure. I don't think it's a sustained engagement thing. I think that it is an event. I think it will get people engaged. It will get the numbers up. But I mean, I think also if it could have some ramifications on kind of like long-term gameplay. If you have somebody who hasn't picked it up in a while, has been playing other stuff, and then they get engaged in this event, they're watching content creators, and that's the other thing. It's great for content creation. Like the people who are doing the dungeon and the streamers, and I hate to say it, but that does drive gameplay. Like that drives people engaging and playing the game. So that plus, you know, I think that, you know, having people pick it up again, maybe they'll be like, oh yeah, this is literally the best shooter that I've ever played in my entire life. I forgot how good the guns feel. Maybe I'm gonna do a little bit more. I don't know.
Well,
yeah.
I think something that's happened.
There's also people who are playing only when it's hard stuff. Like I don't think we take that into consideration. There's some people who only do this content when it's, you know, contest or hard mode. Having that around more then allows those people to do their kind of challenges more often. You can't do all the challenges you want if your contest is only around for 24 hours, 48 hours, you know.
The I think something that's also going on in the background of this conversation, because like Sam was saying that they were asking because it was a talking point about keeping it.
Yeah,
but
I understand.
It'll always be a talking point though.
That's the dev motivation, right? Is like, you know, is this going to drive numbers to come consistently? And I think the answer is no. I think the answer is realistically maybe a little bit, but probably not. However, I do think it's worth doing for the reason that even if it's not a long-term sustained growth, it's a really easy thing to do without putting a lot of resources because you're not making anything new. So in that sense, even if it may only give you a small bump in sustained numbers, it's still a really positive thing to do for like sort of net overall, because they don't have to put any resources into it, like, or very, very minimal resources, you know?
It's like Pantheon.
But like I get what she's or what they're saying in chat though too, because they're saying that they are making new things though. And like Heresy, I think is a testament to like all of the new things that are happening so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
and I think that we're saying the same thing though. Like I think that what we're saying is aligned, because I think that we as players, we understand that the devs are working on like new content, new seasons, new dungeons, new raids, and we want that because like, oh my gosh, like a new raid, I will come back and play. But like you know, if it's something that's minimal investment that's gonna get players to come and play the game, I feel like that's worth it. I feel like both could be true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so she's saying basically that it is kind
yeah.
of a significant investment.
They're saying,
I mean, I understand. I mean, if it is too much, but you know, maybe that's just me not understanding the dev side enough. But yeah.
Yeah, they're saying emblems take a lot of time. They're saying a new mode is massive, and new code for how the contest mode is a huge move. But they also say that they're here for the rotating contest mode as well. So
yeah, I guess my question would be is, I mean, I understand. I'm hearing that those things are going to take time.
Yeah.
Is that going to take? I guess are
is
they
it
not
significant
resourced
enough resources?
Right, because I
Yeah.
don't know how much that time is that takes, like contrasted to working on new things, which I know is the
Yeah.
focus, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I understand it's a balance, and it's a zero-sum situation. You're working with limited resources. You're gonna do the best you can, right?
I can only imagine they're working with fewer resources now than they were
Yeah, for sure.
when this was developed, because like I usually tend to say that like when we're looking at game development, anything, we're kind of looking at the light of distant stars, right? We're seeing the thing now that was built like 9 months ago or something.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Really kind of like honed and finished over that time. And so I can't imagine, like, I figure there were some tweaks and things like that, but major development has been done on Heresy for quite some time, at least. And so
Sure.
They said during the echoes that they were just about done making Heresy
Yeah.
in that one
Yeah.
dev stream.
yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to think about that as players
Yeah.
or as like podcasters,
Yeah.
right? Because we're just experiencing it linearly,
Yeah.
and we don't really think about, okay, well, it's like fashion. We're planning 2 seasons into the future.
Yeah.
Right.
And with a live service game, especially with like a dev team that is as communicative as like Destiny is, like it just feels I think we kind of forget how long these processes take, because they're talking to us all the time. We're like, oh, it's live service. They can just do that. It's just like so easy. They can just give us whatever we want. I think at the same time, I think it's really important for players and community members to dream, because I think that I think it's important to kind of like hope for things. You know, I think, you know, I think I don't think there's anything wrong with that either, but you know, certainly like I love the analogy of the stars. I think that's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But something else that like has been rolling in the background of all this too, because we've been talking about like bringing new people in. We've been talking about like what retains players. Like we see Milo coming in like off of Call of Duty, right? Is what they're mainly known for.
Yeah, he's the zombies guy. I've used his guide before to figure out some of these Call of Duty zombies. Yeah.
And so dude's been coming in and like brought his community with him, and like they're playing Destiny now, and it really feels like he's found a love for the game and for the community that comes with it too.
Yeah.
I think there's
good and bad.
Yeah, good and bad. I think that there's like we were talking about like a creator's role as like kind of bringing hype and kind of like helping to keep the community engaged when maybe there's not so much going on. But right now there's like a lot going on. There's so much going on in Heresy. And I'm liking how it's shaping up. Sunder Doctrine, like from jump, was really cool. I was actually one of those affected by the PlayStation outages. Like that's why I wasn't able to start until much later. So I was like, all right,
and
well,
now
I guess
24-minute runs.
I guess I'm not playing on Saturday until like so. But I may try to hop in on on the 22nd to get a contest player, because like I have the day off. I've got like I now know how to run the damn thing, and so like
you got that.
That would be fun.
So fun, right?
It would be fun. I'm really looking forward to that.
Please stream it so I can watch. I think that's our travel day, so I will be on an airplane, like using like airport or plane Wi-Fi to watch you. But I would so watch you do that.
I'll try to get a team together, like and see what we can do. But yeah, that's.
Yeah, very cool.
I'll be around, so if you need a third.
Oh, Dan
hey man, absolutely,
on the
dude. Yeah, the Dans and could be you.
The Dans and who?
Yeah, and who? Run a contest.
Just ask one of your new speedrun teammates.
Yeah. I'll ask the Fizzle. Like, yeah, 3Ds. Last Mal. Yeah, but like
Double Dan and Fizzle.
Yeah. But yeah, was really cool of them to do, to open that up.
Yeah.
So that like
I was surprised. I was talking to some folks. I was hoping they would do a contest, and I was like, man, I don't know if they're going to roll things back, or I said maybe they'll do a contest mode just for PlayStation. And then I was like, well, think about the fallout of, I can't do the contest new version because I'm not on PlayStation. Then I was like, maybe somebody will go out and buy a PS5 just to finish contest on PlayStation 5. But good on Bungie just saying, you know what? Here, everyone basically gets an extra 24 hours.
Yeah. Dude, that was really cool of them. That was a good make good. That was something that was like I was surprised by. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully we'll see what we can do. But yes, there's that. This past week, how are you guys feeling about Heresy overall as an episode? Like we got the Nether expert with that. We got the derealized exotic mission, which there's a part of that can go suck an egg. And then there's
I haven't done it yet.
You don't like it?
I don't care about spoilers. You can certainly talk about it, but I have not done that yet. So yeah.
We could talk about that in a bit.
Okay. You're like, I got some words for that.
Yeah. So like, how are you guys feeling about the overall feel of this episode?
I think I'm feeling less positive than you are, Dan.
Okay.
To give you an idea, I love the dungeon. The dungeon's amazing, fun, but I've been guilding Dregadin.
Dredgen?
Oh no!
I know. It's the only one I've done every single season. I missed out on the first season of Conquer because I hadn't gotten my base Conquer seal yet. And I was one away because I got all the GMs done, and then I had one that I needed to do again to guild it, and I didn't get that done in time. But I've guilded Dregadin every season, and it's kind of like it's not even a FOMO thing. It's more like, well, I have to at this point. It's like I feel obligated at this point, and I usually wait until the last couple weeks of the season to do it. But this season, I'm just like, well, this is the most interesting thing for me to do in the game right now. So to get a barometer on how excited I am about the new content, that should give you a sense of how much I get.
But at least it's a lot less now though, right? Because I retired from dredging about a year ago. Oh, and I remember when you had to nope. I did guild last season on accident. I was doing something. And then somehow I guilded, so I'm back on the train, I guess, again after a year away. The only thing I still do that with is Conquer. That's the only thing I make sure I guild.
Conquer for me, I feel like it's one of those titles where it's like I'm really proud of this title because even though GMs like ostensibly have become less difficult, you know, like 10% literally less difficult in terms of like the enemy combatants hitting or whatever. The modifiers have gotten odder. I mean, Dan can get into liminality ranting again. But I mean, generally speaking, it feels like a really substantive, challenging title, and I really, really like it. The Conquer is the other one that I really like to do. But I get it with the Dregadin thing, Dan. Like, I totally get it. Like, how that would not be.
Did you finish your guilding yet, though?
Sorry?
Did you finish?
I'm like one stream away from finishing. I'm so close.
At least you don't have to I was gonna say, at least you don't have to reset twice. Because I remember when I was still doing it, you had to reset twice, and that was such a chore. And now I was like, you have to only reset once. Maybe I'll come back for one reset, but no.
Don't do it. Not even for the donut stand. It's just not even worth it. Like,
it's honestly, the seasonal weapon stuff too. Like having to get kills with seasonal weapons. Like I don't want to use seasonal weapons again.
Is nice though. I mean, I'm not a PvP person, but I took it into Iron Banner. I'm like, ooh. I see why people like this. This is really good. My God, this is so nice. So anyway, back to Heresy. Dungeon is great. I know people love Nether, and maybe, I mean, I haven't done the exotic mission, so I
Mhm.
can't speak on that, but I find it really meandering, which I know is intentional,
Mhm.
but it's just not my thing. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
I like my favorite like seasonal activity ever was probably Menagerie, and that was really fast
Yeah.
paced and focused, and like you're always doing something. And this one, I'm just kind of like, where am I supposed to go? I'm wandering
Yeah.
around. I'm finding a chat. It feels like like patrol zone
Yes.
seasonal
I was just about to say.
activity.
I was about to
I'm
say
just
it's
not
more
into
patrol
it.
zone-y.
I'm people love it, and I heard lots of really good things about it from the community. I really appreciate the devs taking a risk and
Mhm.
trying something super different. It's just not my thing, baby. It's just not my thing.
I I
Yeah,
dig what they're doing with Nether, like at least from
yeah.
a core gameplay. I know Mod Sherpa in chat was like, hot take, I'm done with like them putting roguelites in my Destiny. But I actually really like
It's
that.
such a weird thing though.
Like I
Roguelikes in Destiny.
yeah. Well, I feel like this is probably the most successful version of it. Like
Yeah.
I still think Deep Dives was their best version.
yeah.
But this is
you had the
it's also
traversal
a
though.
hot take.
Yeah, you had
Well,
the
the
Yeah.
traversal
problem
though.
you had the traversal is only a
Deep
few
Dives is good.
seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like you
I
gotta
agree.
like if you look at Nether, because I probably am biased because I used to do like hundreds of expert helps of the
Mhm.
tier 7 all the time.
On
So
the
I
deep
think that's
dives?
why of the
Yeah.
deep dives
Yeah,
because
yeah.
like
And that was
everyone
actually
wanted the
really
catalyst.
challenging
Yeah.
and
It was really
fun.
challenging.
Yeah.
But it was the rooms you were in obviously were randomized and you had the random
Mhm.
roguelike perk. But
Sure.
the difference in Nether, like Tilly was just saying, the difference in Nether and deep dives is that once you get into the action, it's fast paced. You
Mhm.
gotta, you're going
Yeah.
against that 2-3 minute timer versus it was. I think Nether is equally as difficult as like
Mhm.
tier 6, tier 7 of deep dives, but the difference is everything's very spaced out.
Mhm.
There's no timer, so there's really no
Yeah.
sense of urgency or threat because as long as you aren't taking damage, which is probably the only difficult part, is the whole not healing thing. Outside of that, Nether, even on expert, is actually pretty chill.
Mhm.
There's no sense of urgency. Your build, even is like really good,
Mhm.
doesn't really see its potential. Whereas I remember multiple times creating builds just for tier 7 and
Yeah.
having to have the roguelike effects line up for me to make that build shine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was really satisfying. Whereas in deep dives, at least
Or in
I
Nether.
haven't felt, well, yeah, in Nether, I haven't felt like the roguelike aspects really help the build that I'm
Mhm.
trying to make work in there
Is
because
it
everything's way too slow paced and too
yeah,
spaced out.
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
I definitely see like what Tiddly's saying about like it being like harder patrol. like it like
It,
I
it
def-
feels like a
it-
harder
it is
patrol
that.
because of that.
It, like, yeah.
Mhm.
And I wonder like how much of that is making its way into Apollo? Like cuz we're seeing more like Metroidvania stuff being added in soon. And so and it feels like Nether is kind of like maybe a testing ground. Like maybe a way of like being like, okay, well, you're not going to be able to do that until like you get this done. So like you have to find your route and then you have to remember how to get back to everywhere like that, like a classic Metroidvania thing, right?
I
But-
mean, I personally, I hope not, but
Okay.
maybe. I mean, if I mean, I know they do plan content out really long, so
Mhm.
if they're doing this as a test, then whatever they're making based on this is like really far away,
Yeah.
right?
Um.
But I don't know.
They have to be.
People seem to like it. I think I'm in the
Yeah.
minority. I really do. So
No, I am
like,
too. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
like it
Mhm.
more than
Yeah.
we do.
yeah, a lot of
I-
people like it more than us.
I
I
like
think
it.
you're seeing them like kind of like you're seeing like kind of like a
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe over-representation of not liking it on
Yeah.
the panel. Because like I think that a lot of people who are playing it like it. They like the novelty, they like the difficulty.
Mhm.
Personally, not a fan of the healing modifier thing. It just
Yeah.
feels it's just kind of unfun in my opinion. And like it's kind of like a weird challenge. It's just I don't know. For me, it's not like the kind of challenge that I
Yeah.
get excited about.
My my builds on normal Nether, my normal Nether builds have been like I don't really feel the repercussions of the healing aspects just
Yeah.
because of like I think what I've built into on my characters. And so like I
Yeah.
actually and this is something Titan and Warlock, I have no problems with going into Nether and like probably maybe dropping 1 or 2 deaths in normal Nether, right? Like the entire time. But like Hunter, man, I think that's something just this season. Like Hunter is struggle bussing.
On the prowl, man.
On the
Boyd
prowl
on the
is great.
prowl.
On the prowl is great, but even
Crimson,
when I'm
yeah.
running that, it's just like
Really?
yeah, dude.
You're
Like
not using Choir of One.
It's
well, that's
it's-
true. I
it's-
wasn't using Choir 1 when I was running that.
Like for me, the heal stuff, it's not even that hard. It's just kind of unfun.
Mm.
Like I don't know. It's just not my thing. I would
Too punitive.
I would rather guild Dragon again.
The healing thing seems a bit more punishing than it should be. Like if I was to clear out an entire section and kill the boss, I don't want my. It feels not rewarding for my health to not like reset.
Come back completely after you kill a boss. Like I understand that it was there were glitches and bugs with the healing, and it was kind of overtuned more than it should be, and it's been corrected a little bit.
Yeah.
It's just it's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the teams put out better stuff. Like I said, I appreciate the creativity. It's just the dungeon though, fantastic. Really good. And also Trials. I hear people are really liking Trials. I haven't played, but I know Dan, we were talking about this before we started, that Dan has hopped in and really liked that too.
I played Trials for about 3 hours. Yes. What day is it? Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Went to the lighthouse, saw the big shower of loot, and got like 5 adept weapons and a bunch of ascendant shards and all that stuff. And it definitely is rewarding if that's what they're going for. A friend of mine was saying that when we were playing Trials, the other like the player count was like 15,000 players.
That's wild.
Which in Trials, I think the most I've ever seen when I was playing Trials at the same time was the first weekend Trials of Stars came back to D2, which was like 20,000-30,000, maybe more. I can't remember, but like I know that was like when it was when everyone was like excited for Trials. So 15,000 over a weekend is huge. I don't know how I feel about the matchmaking. In my experience, and this is only maybe like 3 hours of playing, I played a few teams who walked in front of my face, shot me, and missed every single shot. And I just killed them, multiple times. So, there was that people, those kind of players.
Way to make people uninstall, Dan.
I'm sorry. No. Hear me out. Hear me out.
First time,
I played a few of those people.
Fun, and Dan's out
I played a few of those, and I was like, okay, I definitely know the matchmaking is technically not on. And then the next game, I'm in multiple matches with Amla and Pure Chill. And I'm like, okay, I guess this is how we're balancing things out.
How is that possible though? Like I thought the pool was larger, right? I don't know.
So when I played Pure Chill and Amla the first time, they were on a 7-win card, just I guess playing out wins to earn rep. And my team was on a 3-win card. So obviously the card winning doesn't really make a difference.
Doesn't matter, yeah.
That being said, I don't mind the big pool of different players that I'm matching. Because even I lost to Pure Chill and Omelet 5-1. And on that loss, I got like an adept weapon and some armor. Like at the end game post screen, which was like, okay,
but here's a cookie anyway.
Yeah.
You're like, that takes some of the sting out of it.
That takes some of it off. I knew I wasn't gonna lose. I wasn't gonna win anyway, but at least I had a bunch of rewards, Yeah. So if they are going to keep showering players with loot, there were a lot of people in my chat yesterday who were like, "I'm going into Trials for the first time in years.
Yeah,
I'm actually kind of having some fun. I got some cool weapons. I got some rewards, and it seems right now really solid.
Good.
I hope as the weeks and months go on, when that 15,000 starts lowering for whatever reason, will people feel the same way? That's my only concern.
Yeah.
Right.
They do this big revamp. How is it going to feel later? Yep.
Yeah. I agree.
Whatever they can do to keep people actually playing, I think the sentiment will still be fine week over week.
Yeah.
But if it comes to, May, June, and people just aren't playing as much anymore. They maybe don't have any reason to play. I do think it still be a really strong and solid reason to play for in-game materials for those people that maybe doesn't want to do
like PvE for it.
PvE. Maybe they don't want to do Grandmasters for Ascendant Shards. I got my 7 wins, went to the Lighthouse and got 4 Ascendant Shards from the chest.
Ooh, nice.
Which is huge. And I think I got 4 Ascendant Shards, 4 Ascendant Shards, I think 10 Enhancement Prisms.
Okay.
And I think 1 Alloy. It was huge. It was a bunch of stuff.
That's a lot.
And a bunch of weapons and armor.
Yeah.
So if someone like doesn't really like the PvE stuff and somehow loves playing PvP and is decent, a 1.0 in Trials, they could get all their in-game materials from just playing Trials. As long as the player base stays somewhat healthy, I think that's good for them in the long run. But we just gotta wait and see.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say the amount of people that were posting in my Discord, like 4 trials in LFG, which never happens. And, and like the people who went to the Lighthouse for the first time posting like, "Hi, guys, I got it finally! Like after years, I got in." Like that was cool to see.
The thought of so many people probably seeing that cutscene of going to the Lighthouse for the first time on their game this weekend was probably more than ever.
Yeah,
and probably a lot of them, if we're being 100% honest, if they had gone before, probably went from like a streamer helping them or something like that.
Sure. So,
but the fact that they were able to get there by themselves, not by themselves, but playing themselves with friends and earning that stuff and granting passage to Lighthouse will probably keep a lot of players playing Trials. So I'm really hopeful. I wasn't hopeful, to be honest. Like leading up to like Friday, I was like, we'll see. I'm not sure it's going to be a big deal. But once I heard a lot of people saying like you should try it out, it was really good for me, and I went into it. And I used to be a really try-hard Trials player. I was trying to go flawless every weekend, trying to be really good at the game. And now that I'm more of a casual, I was very surprised how accessible it was. And I think the swing of matching a 2.0 then matching Omelette and Pure Chill was good.
Yeah. I think that's what people want. Personally, like they don't want to be in the same SBMM like tier, constantly sweating every game. Like
the same
having one
people.
game where you have people walk in a straight line to them in the face. Like it's over quick for them, and it's a nice break from Pure Chill. So but I think this is all super positive. I think one of the other episodes we were talking about PvP, we were talking about how they really need to kind of fix how Trials is set up, and maybe if they fix that, it's not going to immediately bring people back into Trials, but then once the player population returns with a big DLC, if it's in a good place, people will pick it up and play it and enjoy it. So it's actually, I feel like this is better than expected, because it sounds like it's brought a lot of people into the game, which is not something that we thought necessarily would happen. We were like, oh, well, maybe they're just getting it set up to like be really great when something big comes out. But
I thought they were going to still focus on it being sweaty, and it's obviously like it's not the place for the PvP sweat. I hope that they find somewhere else for that. It's not comp and it's not Iron Banner, and it's now not Trials.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see like if you're like someone that still plays PvP in this game to be like competitive and be really good. I know Tony talked about that a few weeks ago. Trials is not that. And unfortunately for those people, I'm sorry, but I think this might be for the better and the betterment of the entire community. Hopefully.
So you're saying you feel like it's less sweaty than it used to be?
Absolutely.
And like the loot is more accessible?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
And that's also, only in my like 3.5 hours of playing. So it's a very small sample size, but I did not feel like, even in losses, that like I didn't feel like I felt a month ago when I was still playing Trials. And just from all the feedback I've seen on socials and in my chat, there's more people that are like, yo, I might actually play a little bit week over week.
Yeah.
Just for rewards or something like that. And I know a lot of PvP players have said for a long time they hate having to go into PvE to earn in-game stuff.
Sure. They shouldn't have to.
So they shouldn't have to. So having more and more ways of earning in-game stuff, and at least in-game materials for them, just sitting in the PvP playlist is always going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hopeful. Last word for me. I'm hopeful. I'm sorry for the PvP players who want to sweat in this game and is not really this game is not really that for them anymore.
Were they really enjoying it when there were like 1,500 people? I don't even know, when the player population was so small and they were just matching each other constantly.
The last trials I played, there were 200 people.
200. Were they enjoying it when there were 200 people and they were matching each other and it was just awful every match? Like this is super positive for them too. Like bringing the casuals back to trials, even if it makes it less prestigious, it's going to be way more fun for them too. 100%.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not one. I certainly would love to talk to one and see what they think. But
I am curious how they feel, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
I might have to reach out to some people and see if we can get them on.
Let's get some chill out and talk. Let's
get him on. Let's see what his experience was
All right,
with Dan.
We know you matched me, Epic Dan, last.
Hey, I was glad that I got one round on Pure Chill and Omelet, and I was like, you know what? They can 5-0 me now. I'm good.
Oh man, that's so funny. Pure Chill is really great. Very nice.
So trials, Nether. We talked about the dungeons under doctrine. The Barrow Dyad.
Let me hear it.
Exotic. Okay. I think Barrow Dyad looks cool. I think the way that you had to go and find it. Okay, my experience was also that I had just finished the speedrun thing and was like, hey, I haven't played in like 6 or 7 days. Let's go ahead and like try to knock this out like in the couple of hours that I have left after this speedrunning thing. So chat gave me the chat guide for how to do this thing, which was great. I didn't have to watch a video or anything. It was awesome.
We love chat.
Just a lot of experts telling me like how to do it. It was fun.
Some backseating.
It was
I
allowed it.
Oh,
I allowed it. I was like,
sure,
guys,
you were like, I don't want to struggle with you. Whatever
tired.
You got for me.
I'm tired.
You're like,
that's what I did as well.
Yeah. And so I went into getting to the mission was fun. Getting to derealized was a lot of fun. Even if it was like go to a lost sector, kill a thing, because like the powers that they enabled you to have. So you get these Tiddly, that you get these like taken powers. Yeah. So you just get like a taken orb and you get to fire shit.
It's literally the taken orb from Last Wish, which is crazy.
It's cool.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
you're in that little mode, yeah.
Yes.
You get to kill stuff with it. You have like a certain amount of time that you have to do it in, and then you end up taking out something at the end. Like that's essentially what the whole recipe is for this specific dish. But then you have to do the derealized thing. You have to like find places. You have to find thrall statues in order to like dunk into and then get ghosts out of. And then eventually, once you have enough of those, you're able to then go ascend up into a blight, and that's where derealized lives. And it tells this. It allows you to like. The puzzle was really fun. I won't get too far into that. It's just like the only thing that I'll say is watch your step when you do it.
Oh no. Okay.
And but there was one section of the derealized mission that I despised, and it is like what I call
Sunday rants with Dan.
Yes, it's what I call the Trypophobia room. It is the room that is basically inside.
No. That's the eye thing, right?
Yeah.
Like
no, it's the holes. Like, it's the holes.
The holes,
right?
It's like repeated holes or whatever. Yeah, I know that some people get that with Omnioculus, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and they like Matalat in chat. The eye gougers are in there.
Yeah.
That's whatever. I don't care about that. I'm not a trypophobic. I'm not. What I disliked about it was that like you were inside this enclosed space that is not lit at all except for the light of your ghost, and you have to find 3 crystals inside the room that are like up against the walls. You do not have a lot of platforms that you can actually hop onto. There's a lot of rounded edges. So I found myself like trying to get to a place and then just kind of like just peeling off of it. And I was just I hate it. I hated it.
Okay, on a scale of liminality modifier to this one.
I hated that more. I hated the liminality modifier more because it forced you into a specific
gameplay style.
Gameplay style that I was just not into.
Build, yeah.
And this I despised in a different way, in a deeper way, in which it was just like it wasn't fun to hop around and like try to like mountain goat in there. There are places in Destiny that are fun to mountain goat in. Like the 0 hour mission. Fun to mountain goat in there.
Never heard it called mountain goating. Are you wait, what's your main Dan?
Well,
what did you
I
play
used to be a hunter, and that like now I've been forced basically by chat to be a perma-titan forever.
Perma-titan.
So I was running on Titan.
Rocket boots, man. It's like easy mountain
Iron
goating.
Rampage,
101.
man.
Okay, well, whatever. So it was.
He's not running it again, chat. He's just not.
It was mainly like being in that in the closed space. It's dark as shit. I can't shoot all of the crystals. Like one of the crystals is in another room entirely from the other two.
Yeah, that second one.
That one sucks. And so it was. I try not to get ranty and I try not to get upset, but at this point, Mills was with me, and I was like, if I fall off this thing one more time and we don't get the crystal, I'm gonna rage quit. One of the few times that I've rage quit Destiny in my career.
Man. Dan, I totally relate though. Like, you know that Dreaming City, like those alternate reality things you have to do every week or whatever.
The Ascendant challenges.
Ascendant challenges. So I had such a hard time going from controller to mouse and keyboard when I started. So I basically connected my controller to my PC because I didn't want to. I'm like, I'm not going to. I don't want that. But then there's some kind of thing on my computer that broke, and it couldn't identify any controllers. And this is right before this like raid speedrun tourney thing that I was in. But then I just remember the next day, so I actually ended up doing the tourney on my husband's computer because I could get that to work. But then the next day, I was just like, heck it, I'm just gonna connect a keyboard and try. The first thing I did was that Ascendant challenge where you have to like jump down and keep on jumping down until you get to the end.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to throw something. Like, I just was dying. I don't even know how. I must have died like 40 times. It was so bad. I don't get mad at video games, right? Like, I'm pretty chill. Like, I'm like, oh, I died again. It's fine, whatever. I was mad. I was just like, I'm good. And then it's like, well, I gotta finish it now. This stupid thing.
Fucking thing. Like,
it's just a stupid Ascendant challenge, but I didn't know how to use the controls. So I was just like, oh, this is the worst.
Dude.
And then people are like, oh, you can just thunder crash all the way down. And so I feel like I ended up doing that at some point, but it was just I mean that, like, for me, that's the most similar.
Dude,
I relate to that. I get it, Dan. That's super frustrating.
I was tired. We had done that speedrun thing, and that took a lot out of me, and then like started doing that thing, and like I had a pleasant time up to that point, and then getting into that mission, getting to that point, I was just like, I'm done. Like I don't care if I never get this gun now, because this is annoying me. It was also like 12 o'clock in the morning. Like,
so
it was
ended
midnight.
up completing it though successfully.
I ended up completing it. I liked the boss room. I like the boss room. I like the mechanic of the boss room. I like the puzzles in Derealized. I think that the Derealized puzzles are fun. It was just that one section that can really go suck an egg, dude. And
listen, Dan, we need to make this like a regular Sunday rotator, though. Like Sunday rants with Dan. This because I know you don't like to rant, but it's so entertaining.
You might like to rant.
For someone who doesn't like to, he does tend to do it every week.
I'm sorry.
Yep. See?
I apologize. I don't mean.
Don't.
I don't mean to. It's just.
I'm here for it.
It happens.
Yeah, me too.
It happens, and it pissed me off. I get really animated when I'm pissed off, or I get real quiet, and then that's a bad time. So
no one likes that.
That's me.
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah, dude. But yeah, so I ended up getting the gun. okay on the gun. Like I guess
It
Tull
looks
Int
cool.
in chat said like
We definitely gotta wait.
yeah, we don't know what the
It's
full
like
potential
the Slayer's
is.
thing. You gotta do it week over week to get better, or like the full complete version.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to end up running that like 4 or 5 times. Basically. Is that what you're saying?
Rocket
Yeah.
boots. Rocket.
And you haven't even done it on the expert version yet.
Oh man,
Brother.
Dan,
Brother.
can you
I don't know.
take me through?
I
Can you
don't-
show me how to do it?
Oh,
Can you
guys, I don't
run me
know.
through
I
the
don't know if I can do this.
exotic?
Yeah.
I might be
Yeah.
announcing my retirement sometime soon.
No.
Uh,
That'll be why he retires.
Yeah.
That mission.
yeah,
Oh no.
the check will clear. Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was all that. I'm having a hard time grasping the story of the season. And I think that's mainly because of like the voiceover stuff.
Yes.
Not
Not having any voice
not-
actors in reading.
having Sloane specifically when
Yeah.
there's such a focus on her as a character, and like I just don't end up reading what's on the screen. And I like
It also happens before you even realize it.
Mhm.
Like,
in
has
space.
anyone had this issue? I was gonna say, has anyone
Yeah.
had this issue as well, where a lot of dialogue is playing in orbit?
Yeah.
Like I keep
Yes,
seeing all of a sudden, I
absolutely.
look away, I look back at the screen, all of a
I'm
sudden,
like, why is the
there's
drifter
text.
talking to me right
Yeah,
now?
drifter and
then I'm
song.
like, what is going on? I'm like randomly queuing for something other than story, and I'm getting story.
I'm really
Yeah.
bummed about that because I feel like this situation isn't going to be resolved
Right.
before
Yeah.
the story is over.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
And
bad.
what could have been a really good story and a
Yeah.
really impactful story leading into Apollo,
Or a well presented
be
story. Like I still think the
well-presented
story's probably
story.
good, but like
Yeah.
it's probably, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's probably really good, but nobody will know actually what's going on
yeah,
in the story because we have quote unquote missed it.
right. Without a bike
Because
video or
it's all
something.
been set, without either reading the lore somewhere
Mhm.
or somehow piecing it together.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're whenever the voice strike is over. I don't know if it's over or I don't know if they're gonna like go back and like
I think it's
redo
on a
this
by
stuff.
company. I think it's on a by company thing. I think that
Okay,
they have to reach an agreement with Bungie. Is what like
Okay.
at least
they could reach an agreement and then see it's not financially worth going back and doing that, especially if
Yeah,
it
we
might
don't
be
need
too
to-
close to Apollo. You know,
Yeah.
and that's gonna really suck because I still have really liked Heresy, but the one thing I was really interested in was the story leading into Apollo.
Sure.
Mhm.
So it's gonna really suck unless they decide to do some sort of like, here's the whole story in this context that we wanted to show it right before Apollo here, or something like that,
Yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
I mean,
Like-
it is the lead in, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's so tough to have such a prominent character. Like
Not
feel like they're literally their voice is missing.
Silenced.
Literally
Yeah.
their voice is missing.
Yeah.
And like
yeah.
we're a pro union podcast here. Like
Although
Absolutely.
you were saying that Sloane took over Eris's apartment.
and yeah, she
Before we
definitely took over
started-
her apartment.
I
I'm
had
talking
no
about the
idea that was
character.
actually.
So
You're
somebody
so
in my chat earlier today, or was it yesterday? Today or Thursday, they were like, "It's weird that Sloane has taken over Eris's apartment because it's not like you like when your friend dies,
You're like,
then
oh,
you
it's a
then
great
just go
place
and
for me to
take their
live."
stuff. You just don't do that. It's
Hey,
weird.
somebody's got to pay the property tax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Sloane, an opportunist.
oh,
You
Sloane was the
nailed it.
executor. Is that what you're saying? Sloane was the executor of Eris's will. But yeah.
I
Mhm.
mean, maybe they were such good. Maybe she really wasn't, getting it on with the Drifter. Maybe she and maybe Eris and Sloane.
Maybe
were
they
like
were in a
friends
poly
that lived
situation.
together.
Maybe they were in a poly situation and they
Yeah,
were
could
like,
be.
it just worked out that Sloane is got the apartment,
Maybe she was already kind of.
What if she's there and then and no one knows except for us? Like, Sloane's not even supposed to be there.
I mean, I don't know because I can't hear half the dialogue. I feel so bad. I feel like it had such potential, like the cutscene with Eris, and it just felt really like forsaken to me, which is
Yeah.
obviously some really excellent
Mhm.
storytelling in the game. And I was like, well, that cutscene was so impactful and crazy, and then it just I
Yeah.
don't understand what's going on right now.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I'm gonna watch some Bife videos and hope for the best.
That's good. That's
like,
good. Yeah.
I think that's.
I feel like that's important though, because I feel like the story is good. I'm just not getting
able to grasp it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I 100% with you.
Do you think it's gonna be worse? Oh, not worse. Do you think now that we're back to the week-to-week story, that the fragmentation of the story is gonna be even worse? Now that we have to make sure we read everything or whatever week to week, since we don't have the ability to just digest the entire act at one time, having to do that and somehow now mentally focused that anytime there's anything happening on the screen, I have to make sure I read it just in case it has anything to do with the story.
Yeah.
Do you think that more people are going to have issue with the story, or like us, not really know what's going on? Because instead of like just sitting down for 3 hours and just experiencing the entire thing, now you have to somehow remember something that you read from 2 weeks ago or last week.
Honestly, if we had all of Act 1 stuff in that first week without any of the dialogue, I would have missed all of the story, except for maybe like Drifter yelling occasionally, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so like, I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is here, because like apparently some people didn't like.
I didn't think it was the right answer. I'm just posing the question, because like that's what I'm struggling with now. Is like, okay, when reset happens Tuesday and we get like the last bit of this stuff, whatever happens, I'm not going to know what's happening in general. And I'm not going to know how we got there.
Yeah. I will say, so they were teasing this piece of tech during the reveal for Heresy, that they were like interested to see like how we would react to it, especially because it showed characters out in the field more, and ran into that this week. Have either of you guys played this week's like story stuff?
I haven't yet.
I've done the story stuff.
Okay. So where I think the new tech that they're talking about is where normally you would, at the end of a mission, you would have to go back to like whatever hub and talk to a projector. They're now doing it through your ghost.
Oh,
as
the
a projector
of Drifter? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a holo projector?
Yeah.
So
is your ghost?
Yeah. Basically, so there's a scene on Savathun's throne world, and then once that scene is over, there's a little spark, like white spark orb that you go up and you interact with, and your ghost goes off to the side, and Drifter is there in the middle of where that orb was, and does basically what he would have done at holo projector.
It's like Star Wars.
Yes.
That's what I thought of.
Exactly.
Which actually makes so much sense, because like think about how advanced the technology is.
Exactly.
Like we should have like, come on. We were using dial-up this whole time. Our ghost could probably do this the whole time. Now we're getting access to, like Ethernet connection. What is going on?
We just got, what is it? DSL.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now we're like, oh, this is an upgrade. Yep. I think that Bungie's really been very intentional about making the story more accessible to players, and like having it not be hidden in lore and guns and equipment and that type of thing, and have it like see characters interact and all that. And I think the cutscenes have been really good, and like I think that the all of that is really, really good. So it does feel a little bit of a step back.
Yeah.
This season, because maybe that's because we've been spoiled.
Yeah.
But I feel like we've done some better job. Maybe not perfect. Maybe not perfect. Like I think, personally I care more about the gameplay than I do about the story. I'm interested in the story generally, or like for the exciting parts, but sometimes it feels like they take all these side quests and it kind of dithers on, and I'm not as interested in all of that. I'm like, well, what is the main underlying thing? Like, enough of these side villains who are really, really trying to get at, so yeah. But I think it's credit to Bungie for trying to put all of that front and center, and
yeah, absolutely. Other than that, I don't really like have any questions or any more rants to give you guys. So yeah,
I think it's still early
in
the season.
Yeah.
I know I've said for a while that Heresy was the one that I was personally most excited for a plethora of reasons.
Yes.
And so far, and I was saying this on my stream the other day, that outside of just in the first 2 weeks, in comparison to Echoes and Revenant, I do think Heresy is the best season we've had this year.
Mhm.
Obviously, for a lot of people, that might not be a very high bar, but I think from the sandbox to the content we've been given to the probable story that's being told, and hopefully, this is my own personal hope.
Mhm.
Hopefully, we are getting something maybe in May, because if you've noticed, they kind of took it away first. The if you look at the season pass, they normally say how long the season is going to last. And based off of that, this season doesn't end until July.
Right.
Like
Well,
July 5th.
so the roadmap for Frontiers, which is the Apollo and Behemoth
Mhm.
expansions, says summer 2025 is
Yeah.
Which makes
to
sense.
come out. So that
A lot of us
actually
thought it was going to be
correlates.
June, but
Mhm.
now that
Yeah.
we kind of know, they took it away, so it doesn't technically
Yeah.
say anymore
Well, it
how
still
long the
does.
season is.
It actually still
Does
does.
it?
Yes, I
'Cause I
believe.
checked yesterday and I couldn't find it anymore
I
on like the main tab.
believe. I know it's not on that main tab. I believe that it's still on your journey tab.
Oh, I didn't look there.
Yeah.
I'll look there later.
Yeah. Look there
But
because I
we
feel
have
like I saw that.
now we have a big window of possibly nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And don't know anything, have no insider knowledge, but I'm hoping that with this extra window, maybe May, maybe
Mhm.
June, maybe they give us another Pantheon. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm hoping
Another
that they
Into
can
the
fill
Light
the
bit.
gap with another Into the Light with that, because we do have Guardian games. We do have Act 1 to finish this week, but also Act 2 and Act 3. And outside of that, you pretty much have nothing. And I'm hoping that they're going to fill that gap in with another Pantheon. So this might be.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
It's
that would be
been a year.
so good.
If it doesn't happen, come
Yeah.
back to this
it
podcast in 4
does,
months and
then-
say, Daniel,
yeah.
you idiot. How dare you? But
Oh my goodness.
Well,
I'm looking at
Dan.
that time of like May and June. I'm like, there's nothing here. What they could do
There's got to be something
is
in
do
there.
something.
So what would that look like though? Because they've already kind of done raid bosses. What would
Well, they didn't do all of them.
so would you say
Yeah.
like put the raid bosses that they haven't done yet in
They
kind of
could,
a
in my
Pantheon
opinion, they
group?
should do. They can do two things. They can do the bosses that they didn't do,
mm-hmm.
which there's still a lot of them.
Sure.
You also have Salvation's Edge now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
boy.
that's
Have that.
true.
Witness and Pantheon.
Witness and
Dude.
Pantheon.
What if they did a Dungeons Pantheon with?
I was gonna say they could also flip
That
it
would
and do
be
a dungeon
so
one
good.
instead.
Add Kev.
Yeah.
They can make it a raid, but do dungeon encounters.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if that means they make it 6-man or something, but I'm just tossing fantasies out there. But I do think, because at first I was looking at the
So
summer
good.
2025 and thinking maybe June, but now that we know that middle of July is when we're getting,
That's a long gap.
there's a big gap.
of nothing.
I would imagine Act
Nothing.
3 is going to come around, say, end of April. I think that's
So
okay timeline or
looking
something like that, right?
looking at their website right now, for
And
Heresy.
Masha just confirmed it for me.
Yeah, well,
April
yeah,
1st.
that's what it says in that link. It says that like Act 2 starts 3:11, or it has a box that says Act 2 and it says 3:11, and then Act 3 4:1 in that box. And I'll go ahead and drop that again in chat in case.
But
Okay,
there's
and
a
they
big
did-
window of nothing.
Yeah.
So.
They did say that the acts were going to be not like different kind of like lengths, not like
Yeah.
uniform lengths. So
Yeah.
so who knows? But I would love to see a Pantheon where they did traversal, like not traversal encounters, but like the
Puzzles.
kind of like like Vow third encounter.
Okay.
See, yes,
or-
see stuff like that. I would love
like
to see in
the
Pantheon.
ones where you're running the run and gun encounter.
Yeah, yeah.
Pantheon
Mhm.
would be super fun because
Oh yeah.
in my opinion, those are like the most
Pantheon
interesting
Verity.
and fun. Yeah, like the run and gun
Oh.
Pantheon. It'd be so good. It'd be so good. I think
Some
what other-
people's
what other
mind
encounters
would
are
melt
like that, but-
for Pantheon Verity. Oh my god, dude.
Well, it wouldn't change the encounter. It would just make everything basically back to
Tough.
day one contest.
Yeah, yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm just putting that out there. This is middle of February. There's a big chance nothing's happening in end of May and June.
Mhm.
Perfect time for another. And it's been about a year
Oh.
since
Mhm.
Pantheons. Perfect
Yeah.
time for a revamp of Pantheon.
Yeah.
I think Pantheon was a good way to show that they don't need to necessarily make all new content. They just need to package it in a
Mhm.
time limited, challenging way,
Yeah.
and people will eat it up. So that was some of the most fun I've had playing the video
Yeah.
game. Like
Yeah, dude.
doing the Pantheon Lowman, like doing the
So
trio.
good.
That was so good. It was so hard, and it was so satisfying to complete. So yeah, it was great. I loved it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I would look forward to that. Pope of Copium does point out Guardian Games is sometime
Guardian Games, yes.
in the next
Yes.
bit.
Yeah, but I'd imagine that'd be around April. Like normally, Guardian Games has been around April.
Then that would possibly fill some gap in between that, like May.
I feel like aren't
That's
Guardian
a couple
Games
weeks.
are normally like 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even if it came out say May, you still have a whole month of June and a week of July to fill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. It's also kind of like, I don't know, it feels like the same thing. And then like when I'm playing Guardian Games, I never feel like I'm actually contributing anything to that. I'm just going for like the gear or the guns or whatever.
Just go for the gear, my
so
gilding.
like it doesn't like I felt like more connected when they did the faction stuff than the Guardian Games stuff. It's like, oh, Titans are winning, Hunters are winning, Warlocks are winning. I'm like, but then they're like, well, we have this complex algorithm that we use based on the number of players, and they're all hunters. So that means that we give X to. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
That's
I just
so much
stopped
math.
paying attention.
I'm like
at all.
I'm like,
Wasn't it
so-
like they made hunters have 80% when everyone else was like getting a full 100%?
Yeah, well,
it was something like that because there were so many hunters.
that's the thing is
remove a bit of it.
they can't weight it 1-to-1.
Yeah.
There's a difference in terms of like active players, and so many people play hunters.
Yeah.
So many people play hunters. So I don't know.
I will say though, I do think Heresy is really good. I don't know if like I don't know how a lot of people feel. And I've had a lot of people come in my community. I'm sure everyone else here has that are spending time now returning to the game as well. I know there's been a very huge lapse in players post Final Shape, and I'm starting to see, at least around my community, a fair amount of them starting to return. Yeah, which is obviously good because more players mean a lot of players are going to play Destiny. But I also think, unlike Revenant, I do feel more positively about the game in its current state moving forward. And I don't know if that just has more to do with the current content being given to me. Maybe the sandbox is a bit more enjoyable. Like, we didn't even talk about like the new aspects and fragments and the weapons. And there's a lot of really cool things. And even though we don't think Barrow Dyad is good yet, one thing I will say is that it's it's the way it looks is fantastic. I give that an A+. Even if the gun sucks, one thing I've given them a credit for is that a lot of their weapons and a lot of this, just everything about this season doesn't feel like a reskin, even if it's not a reskin. Like all of the weapon archetypes have really cool out there names like Psychopomp and stuff.
Psychopomp is great. I love that.
Yeah, like a lot of that stuff just feels new, even if it's like similar. It just feels new and feels different, and not like I'm just getting a void version of a weapon I got a year ago. You know what I'm saying? Which always feels nice. So with a lot of people coming back, Heresy is a really good time to come back if you have been, kind of keeping your eyes on Destiny. Maybe you're not playing, but now you're trying to come back because you want to, kind of catch up. And it is surprising that, like, if you are a lapsed player and coming back to play Echoes and Revenant and Heresy under the Heresy sandbox, there's a lot of really good things for you.
Yeah.
Which is surprising, which is what I didn't realize, because I have a few of my clanmates that have been coming back this week and last week when Heresy came out, and they didn't play Echo, so they're now doing like the Acquire 1 stuff. They're doing the Slayer's Fang stuff. They're they have all this knowledge that they have that they're having to almost rework because of the new aspects and the tonic system and all that stuff. And while all this not great, there's a lot of really cool stuff that Destiny has. And I gotta, I've been on this podcast giving Bungie a hard time at times, but I gotta give them credit when I'm like, okay, right now I'm enjoying the game more than I have in maybe 6 months. Yeah. This is from someone who didn't really play in November, December, and January. Yeah. Not at all.
That was the dark time.
It was a really dark time. I did Vesper, and then I left. And I've said, I've been back for maybe like 3 weeks, and I've really enjoyed my time. And obviously, this is not the same sentiment to a lot of people, but I hope that more people are going to try out Heresy, even with all of the issues that we've talked about it having. Heresy is really good, and I'm really hopeful for Heresy.
Yeah,
as we become the navigator.
Yeah, we didn't talk about any of the ability stuff at all, or like any of the weapons.
Oh yeah, the bolt charge, is that?
I thought it was gonna suck.
Charge.
I thought it was gonna suck.
Oh my god, I honestly, okay, so it's
and I
cool.
think it's great.
It's cool, but as a Titan, I feel like I'm a warlock.
Okay,
this is true.
I feel like a well.
You are.
I'm running second encounter contest, and they're like, you need to play a vanilla arc Titan. I'm like, what?
Like, imagine.
Can't survive on that.
I am eating my words. Eating my words. I said there was no way you're gonna get a prismatic Titan, or like Tiddly said, a strand Titan. There's no way you're gonna force them to put on a vanilla Titan arc Titan just for bolt charge, and it's good. I can't even front.
But people are just like, if you don't do it, you're throwing. You gotta put. I'm even my chat is egging me. You don't do it. You gotta run the arc Titan. I'm like, oh.
Have you done the hazardous propulsion thing, Tiddly?
No. Oh yeah, I saw it. Wait, was running that with oh my goodness, yeah.
I learned about it I think 2 days ago, and I went into it, and it's obviously some of it is because of the artifact.
Yeah.
But it is the most insanely fun thing I've ever done, where you just like you pop a barricade and then all your rockets just go at stuff. Pop your barricade, all your rockets go at stuff. It's just a play style I never thought I would use.
It's actually so fun, right? Like it like for me, that exotic always felt like a meme. Like it's like, but every time I would use it, I would like every time I shot out the rockets, I would giggle because it's just funny. It's like a fun like to hear that it actually might be kind of viable. It's amazing. Like I want to put. But
I was working on solo, and you do so much damage. I one phased them.
Yeah.
I one phased the second encounter with just popping a class barricade and letting my rockets just destroy the shriekers. And I was like, I've done a lot of crazy stuff in Destiny, and I never thought I'd kill a boss with just rockets that I didn't shoot, just my backpack rockets.
Dude,
and they like Eddie said, they made Arc Titan fun. And I am eating my words, and I am 100% okay with that because I thought both charges suck.
Yeah. Personally, I'm taking some time to get used to it again because I have not played Arc Titan in forever. Very rusty. But like I just hope that it's not so overtuned that I feel locked into it. Right. I like playing other stuff too. But I mean, it's hey.
I do hope they don't nerf it because some of what makes it so strong is because of the artifact. It'll feel a bit more balanced when it's gone.
Yeah.
But my worry is that, like, so sometimes they give you some really fun stuff, and then they take it away because obviously they know it's a bit too strong.
Sure.
But it's only been so strong because of some of the artifact stuff and the Tomb of One thing, whatever that is, the Tomb of One thing.
Oh, I heard about that too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, I mean the nice thing about the artifact is it allows them to try give players things that are a little overtuned, and then that they give it to us. They're like, here's this toy. You don't get to keep this.
Out.
Like we are taking this back from you on this date, and we're like, okay,
enjoy
while we have. So it's because I think Destiny players really struggle with like sunsetting, with nerfs. Like this is a way of saying, hey, we're gonna like bring things forward. We're gonna bring them back, and then change it. I think it's such a brilliant way of doing that without being mad. But yeah, Forerunner Anti-Barrier also really that's back. That's like one of my favorites.
So something Rev showed me this week, or like today, because like I said, I've been playing Titan, like for a long time.
How much longer do you have to do that?
Well, I mean, like, at this point, it's just like, all right, like here I am.
You're just locked in on a Titan main.
This is where I am. Like, I now know how to do that.
Titan main. I'm kind of been a Titan main this season as well.
You didn't put on those rocket
we can
boots,
all be Titan mains.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I might have to revoke Titan
Yeah,
I'm deducting a point at least.
but for the speedrun thing, I've been playing on Warlock, which I'm probably the most green at right now. And
Sure.
so, but I talked to Rev, and he, I have a prismatic build that he like helped me tune up a little bit, and like
Sure.
using lightning surge, which is basically consecration for warlocks.
Yeah.
That has been crazy cool. Like when I've been able to run that. That feeds into the bolt charge. So while sliding, activate your charged melee ability to blink forward, calling down lightning strikes that jolt targets as you rematerialize.
Yeah.
And then targets that are hit by your lightning strikes grant you stacks of bolt charge. So it's not even enemies that you kill, it is enemies that you strike. And it is nuts. It is very cool. I've really enjoyed using that since he showed me that this morning. So
that's cool because that's the build you probably will have never used without like
otherwise,
this sandbox sandbox changes this season.
Yeah, exactly. And like it makes me want to spend more time on Warlock now because of
Are you allowed to, Dan, after all this?
I'm allowed to. I do have to after the speedrun thing, because so we raised enough money for Game to Give that I was like, I'll put my vault up if we hit this stupid number. And then chat was like, bet, and they made sure that we hit it. And so now I have to delete my vault, but I was like, it's got to be after all this dungeon race stuff, because I don't want to clear my vault and then like have
you want
nothing.
to do the best you possibly can.
So we'll see. We'll see at the end of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, also Queen, like we got to mention Queen Breaker. Stuff had Queen Breaker becoming like insanely good out of the ashes.
Out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Dan. So both Dans. I guess when I say Dan, I'm like talking to everybody.
Yeah, all Dan.
He's Dan 1, I'm Dan 2. That's what we decided years
Dan
ago.
22. Yes. So like when I was doing contests on my first, like we got to the final boss, I was using Queensbreaker. And then we wiped, right? We didn't hit it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they looked at my damage numbers and they're like, "Were you healing the boss? What were you doing?" I'm like, "No, I was shooting it with Queensbreaker. I had the wrong lens on."
Oh yeah.
And because I have literally never picked up that gun. I didn't know that there was a correct scope and an incorrect scope. And I was using the non-combat one, and I did like no damage.
Well, a lot of those changes. Well, yeah, a lot of those changes were this season. Like originally, the combat scope, if I'm not mistaken, all it did was, I think, affected the charge time. That was it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like one of them lets you charge quicker. Yeah. This season they made they made one still a longer charge time but big damage, and the other one shot 3 times but a little bit shorter, like smaller damage. And then the catalyst obviously gives it rewind rounds. That 3 burst,
it's crazy.
rewind rounds is bonkers.
It's so good. Who knew? But it is fun.
Knew?
I think that that's always the intention. It feels like with the changes with exotics, they want to bring forward ones that aren't typically used, but GGs. I mean, like that. Yeah. I have never picked that gun up. I'm having so much fun with it. I actually like grind. I was doing strikes to get the catalyst. I was like, I need to do the best damage I possibly can. I need to get the catalyst.
Did you not do private matches?
Oh, that's what I was just about to say.
So boring. That was so boring. And I had a friend.
I was on a time crunch. I was doing them at first. And I was like, I have to make sure I'm ready for this dungeon. And I was like, you know what, chat? I need to go into private matches and we just capture the zone over and over until I got it.
Private match, collision, lower the points to 5.
XP too, and it was just boring. I was just like, I was like, no. I'm just gonna.
I was like, I need to make sure my load. It was a bunch of stuff. I was like, I was like, I gotta go here and get this done.
This is a good example of how releasing endgame content causes players to do other content.
Yep.
This is exactly what I'm talking about because I was doing Vanguard Strike playlists for a catalyst. Me on the weekend off stream. Who am I? What is this? Like this was crazy. I'm like, but this I'm like I need to do the best I can in this dungeon, so I'm gonna play other stuff to be more optimal. Like, but that's what I'm saying is like it will make people play the game.
It'll make you
to put out stuff like this, you know.
Real quick before I asked for audience questions, but we haven't gotten them yet. So I'm just going to say that we're probably not going to have any. But my question to you guys, are there any weapons from the dungeon, from the Nether, from any part of Heresy? I guess we'll also include like the new perks on Vault of Glass weapons. Is there anything that is like creeping its way into your kit?
The dungeon exotic.
The dungeon
It's
exotic
not creeping into my kit for like anything more than just it's unique and really, really fun.
Okay.
It is fun. Yeah.
Like
Having
creating
a
a
little
turret.
is cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was using it in Gambit for my Dragadin grind, and I was like, oh, this. But it was kind of like it just feels like a meme. It doesn't feel very strong.
Yeah,
so
right.
But we don't have the
reach for
catalyst
it.
yet, so it might
True.
be like it
It
could do
might
something
be.
like where you could have multiple turrets at the same. Like I don't know. I was just fantasizing what it could do. I can put out more than one turret at a time.
I love like the buildables, the Destiny 2 buildables stuff, like having buddies. Like it's just fun. I feel like there aren't a lot of options that let you do that.
It's like,
but it is
it's like in D&D when you're a little guy build. You know what I mean? Like when you're able to have a bunch of little pups or like a bunch of little folks around you.
Yeah.
It's great.
Like a druid with a familiar or something.
Yeah.
Or like a necromancer in Diablo or something like that.
Exactly.
You have, like buddies, you know. Yeah. I'm waiting for them to allow our ghost to go into combat.
It's got to be soon.
It just has a Glock like hanging off the side of it.
I was thinking the opposite. I think our ghost would have a oversized rocket launcher.
Yes.
Instead.
See, I was thinking more like a Glock, but like with one of the cartoon hands. Like it's got 3 fingers and like it just
like Mickey Mouse or something.
Yeah, just I mean it's public domain now, so they might as well. They might as well do it.
That's true. That's true. That's so funny. I don't know. Like for the weapons, for me, I think the only one so far is the dungeon trace rifle because it has shoot to loot on chaotic, I believe, which is unique. So I got a shoot to loot target lock, and apparently the dungeon perk on it is really good. I haven't got
that dungeon perk is really good.
But I don't know. I actually don't even know what it does, but everyone's like, "Oh, that's the one you want."
Yeah.
So shoot to loot, and then you want this one. So and I love trace rifles. So that's for me.
It has subjugation, which is on all of those weapons, and it's like so the weapon adapts to the target. So when you're dealing damage to weak targets, the shots explode. When you're dealing damage to strong targets, targets become exhausted, which is like new verbiage that has come with this season. And also plays into some of the artifact. I mean, it's 2025. We live in America. When you shoot guardians, the weapon's flinch resist increases. So that's what subjugation does, and it's crazy because it does it per target. Like it changes based on how strong they are. But
I don't even want to know how much coding went into doing that.
No, me neither. That sounds nuts. But I got a roll that has detonator beam and rewind rounds.
Oh, rewind rounds.
Rewind rounds.
Detonator beam seems really cool too.
Dealing sustained damage creates an explosion around the target. So I'm already creating an explosion with subjugation. With detonator, I'm also creating an explosion. So that has been a lot of fun when you're going up against stuff in the Nether, especially when it's like a subjugator or the big hulking guy. Hitting that like just kind of like stuns them a little bit, and they do this kind of like jolt, and it's great. It is so cool. It's so cool. Like
subjugation.
Unsworn has become one of my favorite weapons in the game now. It also just looks cool. All those dungeon weapons, like the sweet.
They shade so well. Oh my god, they are gorgeous.
Yeah.
I mean, and to be honest, we may not even know like how good they are yet because it took a while for people to pick up on the rocket sidearm and how good that was. Like there may be like, or maybe like the next artifact, like some of them are going to come up. Like you don't even know, but so far the trace rifle is super strong and fun. So
I'll also say the Eyes Unveiled, which is the new linear fusion rifle from the Nether. It just feels good. Like I don't know about like perks or anything on it. Like
It's got some good perks.
Okay, like it feels great to shoot. There's something very satisfying about just charging it and like the way that the bolt goes, like it's
sometimes
so
it's
good.
the sound design
Like,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think
very solid.
that kind of feeds into like how fun the guns are to shoot. The game is like the sound design on them is excellent.
Yeah,
they feel different to shoot, like different. You know which linear you're using based on how it sounds when.
It's like a low thump, and it's cool. It's
like the Graviton Lance Thump.
No, it is.
I've actually not fired the gun yet, so I have so many of them.
I have a couple. I haven't tried it.
Go into the firing range and just shoot some shots off. I'm thinking about making an ASMR video with all of the shots
for free, Dan?
No, just for me. Just for me. It's only for the
You're going to bed and you're just
that's for you.
Thump. Thump.
Yeah, that won't wake me up at night. I told you guys about my dreams. But anyways, I think unless we have anything else to add, and unless we have any questions from chat, I think
there's so much.
There's
it's actually been a big season.
Yeah.
Also, Vault of Glass with the refresh.
Oh yeah, Vault of Glass with the refresh.
So much stuff.
I haven't even gotten into that on the Red Borders, or people are running the Masters version, right? The Templar checkpoints. Have you done some Templar helps, Jim?
That is
done so many of them.
That is so stupid. We were just doing full runs today, and like the Templar bit where they're like they're basically throwing the flag at the relic.
Oh yeah, the Eager-ish thing.
They're throwing the flag at the relic so that the person can like grab.
So you can grab the relic and get the super from it.
Yeah, and you get the super immediately, so you don't need to worry about like dodging oracles or anything like that, or shooting oracles, whatever. You can just get right into the fight and pop him immediately. And then Lord of Wolves is doing like crazy numbers.
That's crazy damage. Maybe I should run that.
Yeah,
I already have really good time lost rolls on Fatebringer.
See, I said the same thing.
Yeah.
But the origin trait that they gave it is super worth it. Which I didn't expect.
All right, Dan, I'm gonna be hitting you up.
And well, what it does is it doubles your. I think it doubles your magazine after activating a super.
Yes.
Which on Fatebringer isn't a big thing, but on the heavy, on the rocket and the machine gun, like on my corrective measure after activating my super, I get about 190 bullets in it. Which is absolutely insane.
That's so good.
And then on the rocket, rocket, you can get all the big damage perks now, but you also can get overflow, which will enhance overflow will get you 3 in the mag, but with time loss magazine, depending on timing of activating your super and activating overflow, can get up to 6 in the mag.
What?
And then the other aspect of it is after dumping the after activating time losses magazines perk, after you dump the magazine, you get the ammo back. So you can in theory dump the entire magazine and it gives you that magazine back. Just the base, but it gives you that back. So in my testing, in a best case scenario, you can dump 8 rockets in 6 seconds. That's just from popping your super.
I changed my mind. Bring back Contest Ghosts of the Deep. I'm ready to go. Let's do that, boss. I'm ready. I just got to get my rocket.
And then the sniper now has best in slot perks. So like they did a fantastic job making all the weapons worth it. Yeah. For somebody, even the scout and the shotgun, they're all fantastic weapons already. And the issue that they used to have where they didn't have good perks. Now every single one of them have either best in slot perks or fantastic perks with an arguably best origin trait on them, which is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
So I was with you where I was like, I'm not gonna go for these Fatebringers again, but now is absolutely worth it, and you can get 6 perks on one weapon instead of the 2 or 4. So now you can get like 6 perks on one way. It's crazy. So
yeah, I mean, it also increases the chances you're gonna get what you want.
Yes.
Yeah. And then if you regrind like then you're gonna get 1 god roll that has like 2 or 3 god rolls on it.
I got everything on it.
Ah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
So I will give them credit because I know we said there's so much they've done this season that is like worth playing this game right now.
Yeah.
So much stuff.
Heck yeah, man. That was like I'm excited for loot.
Like, no, I will give them credit when credit's due. I give them crap when crap is due.
Mm-hmm.
I will 100% say that everything that they've produced for me as a player this season, I haven't gone into Gambit yet, so I can't speak on on that. But everything that I've played has been outside of Final Shapes campaign has been best of Final Shapes here.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, any parting thoughts before we close it up tonight?
The hollow chip quibbles. I might buy that. I might, now that I know that I can just pull it from collections. I feel like it's really cool.
You can't.
Oh, you can't. I thought you could.
No, they I think they patched that.
They go back on that?
Yeah.
No, but like people were getting unlimited for collections, but if you buy it,
right,
you can get it from your collections, which I'm like super tempted because it's really cute. Not gonna lie.
I do hate that it's like only 12 IRL hours though, from whatever. I haven't used them yet.
Yeah, no, I used one right away and I'm like, this is really, really fun. The Star
But
Wars
I
stuff
do
is
like
kind
that
of
they're going
expensive,
down
but
that route. I'm hoping that they do more of that stuff to what's the word? To make the player cosmetically more unique. I'm always down for that.
I completely agree. I just really want them to make like a gay pride hollow chip.
They will, yeah.
With a rainbow. I think that would be amazing. Okay, that's my parting thoughts.
Yeah.
Go make it. Thank you, Bungie.
I thought you could pull them anymore, but I guess I don't know.
There's probably a workaround that hasn't blown up in the community yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Those I just don't see it. I don't know. That's cool. Like for those who engage in that, I just don't see myself like particularly diving in on that. The Star Wars stuff is kind of neat. Like
the Star Wars, the ghosts like shooting and making the noise. Oh, it's so cool. It's just kind of expensive. So, I mean, I don't know how much of it I'm actually buy, but but it's really cool to see them do these like mainstream like team ups for cosmetics. I know like Fortnite does a ton of those, and you know, I think that's only healthy for the game. And I don't even mind that you know, that you can't necessarily earn it outside of spending actual money right now. But it would be nice to see those coming up for Bright Dust at some point.
Yeah. I doubt we'll ever see that happen.
We'll see. Yeah, probably not. Probably not.
Yeah, that feels like a very expensive thing for them to do.
They're like, this cost us so much money for the right to do this. You're gonna have to pay actual money for this.
Yeah, dude. Like, and they did like a fairly good job. Like, they did a really good job.
Really good.
So
the Stormtrooper one looks really good, and I had a community member like join my fire team and like do a fashion show of them just going through different shaders in the Stormtrooper, and I was like, this thing shades exceptionally well across dozens of different shaders that I didn't expect.
It's really simple, so I imagine it shades really well because like you know the like different textures take shaders differently. So when you have like an armor piece that's very like has a lot of variety on it, it may not shade the way you want it to as a Titan particular. Oh my god! Now I want to buy it and turn it into a rainbow.
You could. You absolutely could.
You really could. It would shade super, super well.
Just each piece of the armor.
Yeah, but then when you buy that one, Shadow's always like, haha, you're cosplaying your aim level. No aim, Titan brain. Look at you, Stormtrooper Titan. Terrible aim.
You don't think they did that on purpose by giving Titans a Stormtrooper?
Of course they did. Yes, of course they did. Absolutely intentional.
They did.
But I feel a little attacked, Dan. I do.
What do you mean? Titans don't shoot their guns; they just punch.
I do feel attacked, but it's okay. I get the meaning. It's hilarious. Yeah.
All right. Well then, that's all the news fed to print. Good stuff, guys. Thanks so much for coming on and being on today. Where can people find you guys on the internet? Tiddly, let's start with you, bud.
Yes, twitch.tv/Tiddly, 9 o'clock Central. or so. It is so hard to wake up when it's dark outside, man. Like
Yeah.
I just always start a little late in the winter. I find I'm like, I need the sunshine to wake me up. But 9 o'clock Central or so, Monday through Friday. You can also find me on Blue Sky. I'm Tiddly on Blue Sky.
Heck yeah.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Excellent. All that blue sky. Gotta love it. Dan, Epic Dan 22. What about you, sir?
You can find me on twitch.tv/epicdan22. Unfortunately, I don't have as strict of a schedule as Tiddly, but I guarantee if you stop by
always
stream,
on.
there's a
Yeah.
pretty big chance I'm live to get you through your day or your night or through your work or through your school. You can also find me on YouTube and TikTok. I'm almost done making that Elden Ring video. It's been a
Nice.
long time,
Editing.
but that one's almost done. So, hopefully that can be out before Monster in a Wilds at the end of the month. And then you can also find me on Blue Sky, just Epic Dan 22.
Heck yeah. My name's Danfinity. You can find me on my website, danfinity.gg. That's where all my stuff lives. And if you want to like go to anywhere else, any other social media thing, there's like icons up in the top right corner. You can find me on Twitch basically every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, unless work has other plans. And for the Destiny Digest podcast, you can watch us every Sunday, a rotating cast of panel members, generally around 6 or 6:30 p.m. And episodes should go live the next day. It just depends on how the editing goes. But for the most part, thank you so much for listening to episode 90. We're 10 episodes away from 100 here. Episode 90 of the Destiny Digest podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you find what you're grinding for.